family. Let me talk to the part of you that's tired, the part of you that prayed for a breakthrough but got a breakdown, the part of you that thought this year would look different, feel different, be different. Hear me clearly. This season is not punishment. This season is construction, and construction zones are always messy before they're magnificent. You're not being buried. You're being built. This season is not punishment, even if it feels painful, confusing, or unfair. What you're walking through is not a sign that you've been forgotten, overlooked, or rejected. It is a construction zone, and construction never looks beautiful in the middle of the process. It looks loud. It looks dusty. It looks like things are being torn apart instead of put together. Walls come down before new ones go up. Foundations are dug deep before structures rise high. When you only focus on what's being removed, you can mistake rebuilding for destruction. Sometimes what feels like loss is actually clearing. The relationship that ended, the opportunity that slipped away, the plan that didn't unfold the way you expected, those moments feel like setbacks. But in construction, you cannot renovate without first demolishing what can't support the new design. If the old structure is weak, it must be dismantled so something stronger can take its place. That dismantling can feel personal. It can feel targeted, but it is intentional. Construction is strategic. Every delay, every detour, every closed door is part of a larger blueprint you may not be able to see yet. Builders don't start with decoration. They start with foundations. Foundations are hidden. They are buried. No one applauds them. Yet everything that will eventually stand strong depends on what is laid beneath the surface. This season may feel hidden, unnoticed, even lonely, but hidden work is still holy work. You are not being buried under pressure. You are being grounded in purpose. You are not being torn down to embarrass you. You are being reshaped to sustain what's coming. What feels like restriction may actually be reinforcement. What feels like limitation may actually be alignment. Construction zones restrict access not to keep you trapped, but to keep the work protected. There are parts of you being strengthened that you cannot yet measure. Patience is being reinforced. Character is being fortified. Integrity is being tested and solidified. The version of you that will handle greater responsibility requires deeper stability. Stability is not formed in comfort. It is formed in process. And process rarely feels pleasant while it's happening. Pressure has a way of exposing what comfort can conceal. When life is easy, you can hide behind routines, distractions, and familiar identities. But when the weight increases, when expectations rise, when challenges multiply, whatever is truly inside you begins to surface. Pressure doesn't create your character, it reveals it. It pulls back the curtain and shows you what has been developing beneath the surface all along. When you feel stretched beyond your limits, it's not random. Stretching exposes strength you didn't know you had and weaknesses you didn't want to face. Under pressure, insecurities get louder, but so does resilience. Fear may rise, but so does faith. The tension you feel is the friction between who you've been and who you're becoming. Diamonds are formed under intense pressure, not in comfort. The very force that seems unbearable is the same force shaping you into something rare and refined. Pressure reveals your coping mechanisms. It shows you whether you run or remain, whether you blame or build, whether you collapse or create. It exposes where you depend on approval and where you stand in conviction. When deadlines close in, when relationships strain, when resources feel tight, your true foundation becomes visible. If your identity has been built on validation, pressure will shake you. If it has been built on purpose, pressure will strengthen you. There are parts of you that only come alive when challenged. Courage doesn't emerge in safety, it emerges in uncertainty. Leadership doesn't awaken in ease, it awakens in responsibility. Vision sharpens when obstacles demand creativity. Pressure forces clarity. It strips away illusions and confronts you with truth. It asks you who you are when applause fades, when support thins, when outcomes are uncertain. The discomfort you feel is not evidence that you are failing. It is evidence that you are expanding. Muscles grow through resistance. Minds grow through challenge. Spirits grow through adversity. Pressure identifies cracks that need repair and strengths that need recognition. It refines motives, deepens resolve, and strengthens endurance. What surfaces under pressure is not meant to shame you, but to show you where growth is happening and where transformation is required. Isolation can feel like rejection when you don't understand its purpose. When invitations slow down, when conversations don't resonate the same, when you feel emotionally or spiritually distant from environments that once felt familiar, it's easy to assume you're being pushed out. But isolation is often preparation in disguise. It is the quiet space where elevation begins to take root. Growth requires separation. Not as punishment, but as protection. When you are being shaped for something greater, constant noise can interrupt necessary clarity. Distractions dilute focus. Opinions distort vision. Familiar voices can anchor you to past versions of yourself. Isolation removes the crowd so you can confront who you are without applause, without validation, without comparison. In that quiet space, identity becomes clearer. There are seasons when fewer people understand you because you are evolving beyond shared patterns. Old conversations may feel shallow. Old habits may feel uncomfortable. Old environments may feel restrictive. That discomfort is not arrogance, it is awareness. You are sensing that you cannot carry yesterday's mindset into tomorrow's calling. Elevation requires internal expansion before external recognition. Isolation teaches self-leadership. When no one is clapping, you learn discipline. When no one is checking on you, you learn accountability. When encouragement is scarce, you learn to strengthen yourself. This is where resilience deepens. This is where confidence matures. This is where faith becomes personal instead of performative. You begin to act from conviction rather than reaction. In isolation, hidden work happens. Reflection replaces distraction. Healing surfaces without interruption. You begin to see patterns clearly, where you compromised, where you shrank, where you doubted yourself. Without constant external input, your inner voice grows stronger. Discernment sharpens. You become less dependent on approval and more aligned with purpose. Elevation is not just about going higher, it's about becoming stronger. Higher levels require stability. Stability requires depth. Depth is developed in solitude. Just as roots grow underground before branches stretch upward, your unseen growth in isolation supports future visibility. What feels like being set aside may actually be strategic positioning. You are not disconnected. You are being developed. You are not overlooked. You are being strengthened for rooms that require maturity, wisdom, and presence that can only be formed when you have learned to stand alone. Growth sounds inspiring until you experience what it demands. Everyone wants expansion, but few are prepared for the discomfort that expansion requires. Growth will stretch your routines, challenge your habits, and confront your excuses. It will demand discipline on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. It will require consistency when results are invisible. It will ask you to show up before you feel ready. Discomfort is not a sign that something is wrong. It is often proof that something is changing. Muscles ache when they are being strengthened. Minds feel strained when they are learning beyond their limits. Character feels tested when it is being refined. The uneasiness you feel when stepping into new responsibilities is not weakness. It is adaptation. You are adjusting to a higher standard. Discipline becomes the bridge between desire and development. Inspiration may spark the vision, but discipline sustains the process. It is choosing the long-term reward over the short-term relief. It is committing to growth even when emotions fluctuate. Feelings are inconsistent, but discipline builds stability. It creates structure where chaos once lived. It replaces impulse with intention. There will be days when quitting feels easier than continuing. Days when distractions seem more attractive than focus. Days when old habits whisper louder than new commitments. Growth requires you to resist comfort that keeps you small. It asks you to wake up earlier, prepare longer, forgive faster, and respond wiser. It demands internal order before external success. Discomfort also exposes areas where you lack maturity. It reveals impatience, pride, fear, and avoidance. But exposure is not condemnation, it is opportunity. When weakness is revealed, refinement can begin. Discipline trains your reactions. Instead of responding from emotion, you learn to respond from purpose. Instead of retreating from challenge, you lean into it. Endurance becomes a defining trait. You learn to continue even when applause is absent. You learn to practice when no one is watching. You learn to build skills before recognition arrives. Growth reshapes your mindset from seeking quick results to valuing steady progress. It replaces comparison with concentration. It teaches you that becoming is more important than appearing. The discomfort you once feared becomes the evidence that you are no longer stagnant, but moving toward a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. Elimination is one of the most misunderstood parts of elevation. When things start falling away, when connections fade, when opportunities close, it can feel like you are losing ground. But elevation is not just about addition, it is about subtraction. You cannot carry excess weight into higher places. What once supported you at one level may restrict you at the next. Every new level requires lighter baggage. Old mindsets, unhealthy attachments, limiting beliefs, and comfortable routines cannot survive increased responsibility. The higher you rise, the more intentional you must become about what you allow to remain in your life. Elimination is not cruelty, it is clarity. It reveals what aligns with your future and what belongs to your past. There are habits that once felt harmless, but now compete with your growth. There are relationships that once felt safe, but now resist your evolution. There are environments that once felt normal, but now drain your energy. Elevation exposes these misalignments. It forces you to confront what you've tolerated simply because it was familiar. Familiarity can be comforting, but it can also be confining. Letting go is rarely easy. You may grieve what you release. You may question whether you are making the right choice, but holding on to what no longer fits can delay what is trying to emerge. Pruning is painful for a branch, but it strengthens the tree. Removing what is dead or overgrown allows healthier growth to flourish. Without pruning, expansion becomes chaotic instead of sustainable. Elimination also refines your focus. When distractions decrease, clarity increases. When unnecessary commitments are removed, your energy becomes concentrated. You begin to prioritize purpose over popularity, depth over quantity, alignment over approval. Elevation demands discernment. Not everything that is good is meant to go with you. Not every opportunity is assignment. Not every connection is covenant. As you rise, your standards shift. What you once accepted without question now requires evaluation. You become more protective of your time, your peace, your vision. You understand that saying no can be as powerful as saying yes. You recognize that space must be created for growth to breathe. What leaves creates room for what belongs. What ends make space for what is emerging. Elimination is not loss. It is preparation for a capacity you are still growing into. Before a platform is ever visible, a foundation must be secure. What most people celebrate publicly is only possible because of what was built privately. Platforms attract attention, but foundations sustain weight. If the structure underneath is weak, the visibility above it becomes dangerous. That is why the building process focuses first on what cannot be seen. A foundation is formed in hidden seasons. It is built through small, consistent choices that no one applauds. It is developed in moments when quitting would be easier than continuing. Integrity is laid brick by brick. Character is poured like concrete, slowly, intentionally, reinforced through repetition. The strength of your future influence depends on the stability of your inner life. When you feel overlooked or unseen, it may be because your foundation is still being strengthened. Rushing visibility without stability creates cracks under pressure. Success amplifies what is already within you. If insecurity is present, it will grow louder. If discipline is lacking, it will be exposed. If character is fragile, it will fracture. A solid foundation prevents collapse when expectations increase. Foundations are tested before they are trusted. They endure weight, pressure, and shifting conditions. In the same way, your values are tested through challenge. Your patience is tested through delay. Your humility is tested through progress. Each test reinforces the structure beneath your ambition. You may desire a larger platform, but without reinforced stability, expansion can overwhelm you. Private preparation builds confidence that does not depend on applause. When you know the work you have done in silence, you are less shaken by criticism and less intoxicated by praise. You are anchored in something deeper than external validation. The foundation keeps you steady when attention fluctuates. It reminds you that your worth is not measured by visibility, but by alignment with purpose. As your foundation strengthens, your capacity increases. You can handle responsibility without losing yourself. You can lead without compromising integrity. You can rise without forgetting the process that shaped you. What is built beneath the surface determines how high you can go without falling. The deeper the foundation, the greater the structure it can support, and the more resilient you become when pressure intensifies. So when you look at this entire journey, the pressure, the isolation, the discipline, the elimination, the hidden foundation, you begin to see the pattern. Nothing was random. Nothing was wasted. Every uncomfortable moment carried intention. Every closed door carried instruction. Every stretch, every pruning, every silent season was shaping something deeper than what you could see. You were never falling apart. You were being formed. The pressure revealed you. The isolation refined you. The discipline strengthened you. The elimination aligned you. The foundation stabilized you. All of it working together, not to break you, but to build you. This season didn't come to punish you. It came to prepare you. It came to strip away the versions of you that were built out of fear, insecurity, and survival. It came to introduce you to the real you, the grounded you, the focused you, the resilient you, the purpose-driven you. And when the platform comes, when the doors open, when the elevation becomes visible, you will stand differently. Not because life got easier, but because you got stronger. Not because obstacles disappeared, but because your foundation deepened. You will no longer chase validation because you've built conviction. You will no longer fear pressure because you've survived refinement. You will no longer resist isolation because you understand development. The real you has been under construction this entire time, and what is being built now will be able to carry everything that's coming next.